easy for you now. You got 2 minutes of my time, and I don't.
And up next, we have on the panel, yes, you heard it, Atlassian, Linktree, Vodafone, and a brand that I think nobody really knows too good, but they're called, I think, Facebook. So we're pretty excited to have our panelists join in for today's session. So I'm going to welcome them to the stage, and we're just going to get straight on into it for the Emerging Tech panel. We have our panelists. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I'm so pumped. I am so pumped. Regan from Facebook, tell us, what is it that you do, and how did you get to do what you're doing? How did you get a job at Facebook?
Everyone. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. And thanks for having me. This is an awesome opportunity to see all you graduates on the call. So really stoked to be here to get out of the day-to-day and join you all today. So a little bit about me and my role. I am sort of the head of marketing for Australia and New Zealand here at Facebook. And when I say marketing for Facebook, we're very much focused around our business customers. So people often think, we're trying to get everyone in the world to use the apps more. There's definitely teams that do that, but we're primarily focused on our business customers, and they can sort of range from the Commonwealth banks of the world, so the top end and larger organizations, all the way down to a fish and chip shop in Wollongong. So basically, we're trying to provide economic opportunity for businesses of all sizes to utilize our platforms and services. I've had a bit of a unique journey. I started off way back when as a paper boy and absolutely hated that. So that was my first job, but then sort of moved quickly into retail. So I think I really sort of enjoyed interacting with customers. I really enjoyed that. Obviously, like many of you on the call, obviously studied, which was fantastic, and had a bit of work experience throughout my time at university, which really got me a foot in the door on my first role. Which was, it sounds glamorous, at an experiential agency, but it was actually grocery sampling. So if you can picture those people that are in an aisle at a food, Coles or a Woolworths, handing out sort of the latest cracker, I was behind the scenes in client service doing all that sort of stuff. So
I love this.
Not so glamorous, but it definitely taught me the fundamentals of client service and project management. And from there, worked at several agencies and most recently Commonwealth Bank, all the way to Facebook.
Any student who's tuning in, and I know tons of people are going to be watching this in the future, like, please do not underestimate the job that you have, particularly like jobs like McDonald's. Brands want to see this, show your leadership skills. And we have Joseph from Linktree. I want to know, what was your first thing? How did you get to do what you do? You guys are blowing up on TikTok at the moment. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, look, I mean, first off, thanks for having me here. I'm super excited to be here and to hopefully get a chance to talk with people that are far smarter than I am on this call, and I can see their faces as well. So I'm just kind of here for comedy value and good chat. But so yeah, look, my name is Joseph. I'm the head of IT at Linktree. And I guess my first job, actually, I'm the most non-traditional kind of tech person that I think I know, but it's a pretty common thread throughout. So my first job was working in fast food when I was a teenager. And then I did that traditional kind of journey. I worked for a fried chicken joint back in the US. And then I worked my way into being a barista, then a bartender, and then I went to uni. I dropped out of uni for a couple of years, actually. And then I worked in retail for a while and kind of around and up there. Went back to school and kind of fell into a couple of different things. And so my journey has been everything from a fried chicken shack through to Apple, Dropbox, a company called Deputy, and now Linktree. So I'm probably a quintessential example of how to accidentally find yourself in tech, but also the fact that all those skills all have kind of service industry in the background behind all of them. At the end of the day, what I and my team do is effectively the highest level, top tier service, right? Like, we're a service provider for our internal customers and for our external customers. And then for those that don't know us as well, Linktree is we started out as a link in bio type company, but our mission, our purpose is to help you, kind of create your identity on the web, no matter where that might be it TikTok, be it Facebook, be it Instagram, be it Twitter, anywhere else that you are. We're keen to help you kind of bring people to where you're at and show them what you're doing. And, if you're in a creator economy kind of type role, right? Like help you monetize that, help you make money off of your passions. And, again, thanks to you for having me here as well.
We all have to start somewhere. All the executives at all these major companies, students and grads who are listening, they all once had a job doing similar things to what you're doing. So don't give up hope. I know it's really tough. And as well, just like Joseph said, you can use your skills in different ways. Remember, we have the contractor, gig economy style stuff. We're going to discuss that. Up next, we have an incredible speaker, Yago from Vodafone, TPG, and I just have been so looking forward to having you join in. So tell us, how'd you get to be where you're at?
Thank you very much, Jessica. Thank you for having me here. I'm very happy to be here and be able to talk to you grads, because the main reason I'm here is because I was on a graduate program. I'm now the general manager of wireless and transmission network for Vodafone Australia, which now is TPG Telecom. So basically, I'm responsible of the 4G and 5G networks, the rollout, and look, 15 years ago, I went to through a graduate process in Vodafone Spain. I didn't know much about mobile phones at the time. I'm telling you, I did nuclear physics in school, so didn't know telecommunications. And don't put a nuclear plant on my hands right now; it would be like Homer Simpson. So it was just going through the process on the grad. I did a couple of interviews for different areas, and I remember the vibe in Vodafone Spain was good at the time. Probably talking about 2016, 17. So it's a lot of time. But yeah, it's exactly the process that you are in, guys, right now. Trying to get your feet on the industry. I didn't know. I thought that the phones were working through satellite at that time. Thank God I know a little bit more now. Otherwise, it would be a problem. But you learn through the job, and I think that was the key learning for me. When you get out of uni and you come from an engineering background or a science background, you kind of think, look, I don't really know much about almost any subject. If you work in energy or you work in software, it's not like in the university normally you have that experience up front, or you work in telecommunications, because the industry goes a little bit ahead of the academy. If you think about people that we have here with Facebook, Alessian, Linktree, they are the ones that do the technology, and then you need the technology that gets developed, and then it gets taught in university. So I think for me, something that I would encourage all of you is just go for what you like. If you think that now when you're looking to get a job, and even if you don't have the experience, nobody expects you to have the experience today, then everybody starts somewhere. But just do something that you are passionate about and you think that you're gonna enjoy, because it's the careers are long, and you better do something that you enjoy.
You don't know where you'll end up. Make sure you study additional fields. When it comes to what you're studying, students, keep an open mind, because you may be in a slightly different field once you actually get into the workforce. Up next, we have Niall. I think everyone as well is going to know exactly where, who Atlassian is, where they're from. So massively known in the tech community. So real pleasure to have each of you be here on this panel.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm privileged to be here. It's a mere 21 years ago. I was going on the same journey myself, trying to figure out what to do with myself after wasting 4 years of college. But my first ever job was in a sheet metal factory, putting acid paint on weld marks. And the one thing that job taught me was that I didn't want to work in a sheet metal factory doing that for a career. So I was always a bit of a geek, and I got into computer science. I did computer science in university, and I followed what you'd probably call a fairly traditional tech career journey. But I worked in a lot of companies that used technology, and technology kind of almost got in the way of them achieving their business goals. Technology was a cost center. It was one of those things that had to be managed in the box in the corner while we got on with work in the business. And then I moved to Atlassian about 8 years ago, and that was a game changer, because that was an organization where tech itself was the enabler of value. Tech was the thing that would allow us to solve customer problems most effectively. I use my network to get a role in Atlassian. About 8 years ago, I worked in Macquarie Bank and worked in a bunch of other places. And we had this, slow incremental movement of people from Macquarie Bank into Atlassian, and they said you should reach over. And I had that imposter syndrome, right? You know, how am I going to go to Atlassian? This is where all the smart people work. But here I am 8 years later, still getting away with it.
How can a grad or a student like increase that chance? Like, what's something they can practically do today that will help land a job? Right?
Absolutely. I think one thing that really helped me, and it could be an opportunity for everyone on the call, but really seek out work experience. And I did a day or two for free at a PR agency when I was studying, and that really gave me great experience. And I feel it went a long way for getting a particular interview with a role, and you can actually demonstrate experience working for a company before actually getting a job. So I think that's pretty crucial. Networking is really crucial as well. So if you've got an opportunity to have a coffee with someone in a business, always say yes. Don't feel afraid to reach out to people as well in terms of LinkedIn or anything like that. So I think being really proactive will go a long way.
What's something that they can actually like do or say that, because that could be hard for a young person to reach out to someone like yourselves?
I think that what goes a long way is a little bit of research in terms of what the mission is of either the company or what the team's designed to do. I think, when I'm interviewing someone and they can effectively, demonstrate to me that they understand the mission of Facebook and why they're so eager to play a part of it, because you as an interviewer want to have someone who either is capable of the job or has an understanding of what they do. Because as a hirer, you want to give someone a role that you're confident is going to do well in that role. And I think if you can express that goes a long way.
The biggest thing for me, I think that then one thing that I see a lot of kind of people miss is that early on in your career, don't underestimate the value of working for companies that don't have a brand or a logo like the ones that you see on this call. And there are hundreds of thousands of millions of companies out there that would be absolutely keen and excited to have the kind of energy of like a fresh graduate to teach them how to like develop and how to become an engineer, right? We all got our start somewhere, right? And it's very rarely that you walk in the front door at Apple and get a job and off to the races you go. It's you learn how to become an engineer, you learn how to build a team, you learn how to be part of a team working for a small mom and pop shop or a small business in your local community. And that also leads into how you network, how you build those connections, and it all kind of rolls into the other one, right? So just because you can't get in today doesn't mean that there's not an open door for you tomorrow. It just might not be the straight shot that people think it is. These companies, my own included here, are hyper competitive. We're running at 1 million miles a minute, right? And like there's a high expectation that you know what you're doing. You have everything sorted, right? And if you didn't know that coming in there, it's a really hard kind of thing to try to learn and run and walk and crawl all at the same time. Be willing to kind of think about how can I go up the mountain? It's never necessarily straight up the mountain. It's usually a twisting and kind of winding road all the way to the very top.
Maybe have a little look at some smaller size organization or specialist ones.
I think what you need to do is to be yourself, and it goes back to the values. It goes back to everything that you have done till that day, matters for what you're going to do moving forward, and I think that sometimes we think that smaller jobs don't count, and the smaller jobs are the ones that make a difference. I was working in the reception of a hotel before I started to work in Vodafone 15 years ago, and in the reception I managed to be able to speak in 3-4 different languages at the same time. It was in a summer holiday place that, it gets packed all the time. You need to be communicating yourself very clearly, but very sharply, in the sense of you cannot spend all day with one customer, but everybody needs to get what they want. And that's something that I took with me all my life. As a grad, you finish uni and you have your degree in mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, software engineering, and now suddenly you are going to be doing the website of Linktree, the homepage. That's not gonna happen. When you think about getting hired, it's about the person that you have in front of you. You have big brands like like the ones we have in this call, and there are jobs that could be perfect for you, but in the same company there are jobs that are definitely not for you, where you see yourself working those 12 hours a day happy, to learn, because at the end of the day, once you are happy, you never stop. I never stop working. Summarizing for me, be yourself. Anything that you have done in the past is bringing you where you are today and where you are going to go. So never walk away from your past and never be shy to say that you had a different kind of job, because that's what makes you special. And be yourself in the interviews and show things and your interest outside and your experiences outside the uni degrees, because I don't know, like I never ask anybody what were the grades in uni.
Study is important in a lot of ways. I think it's important, but it's not everything. Because you can be working for the hottest brand ever, but if every day you're not happy or miserable, or you're contributing to causes that you're not interested in, what kind of life is that? And do your research before you join a place, not just to land the job, because you shouldn't just be doing your research to land the job to say what they want to hear. You should be doing your research because it's your choice on where you go in your career.
Well, I can speak from an engineering perspective. If you want to get a job as an engineer, having some of the core tech skills are important. It's really important to know how to build things and compose things. But one of the most important things, I think, is not to underestimate the non-tech skills. Can you bring learning agility? Can you bring collaboration? Can you add something to a team? As well as bringing those tech skills. So when we hire graduates or engineers generally, we're looking for a balance of those two things. You look back at what you've done, and if you can't exactly marry up your real world skills and the real world experience to the new job, then there's a lot of like personal and behavioral experiences that you should have that are really interesting for an interview or really interesting for a coffee chat. Hey, here's the time that I led this team on this journey to build this thing.
There's been so many engineers that we've put through like for interviews and stuff, and they've got the perfect technical skills, but they just might not have those soft skills. So for those who are tuning in, do not neglect it. I think there are like 5 key pillars for getting the job. Firstly, resume. Secondly, somewhat of experience. Thirdly, the actual skills to do the job. Fourthly, education of some form, shape or form. And then fifth, your mannerisms, your professionalism, sort of how you talk, your we call it presentation skills. What do you guys think are the future tech skills that people should look to get now?
On behalf of Facebook, there's some upcoming announcements which is sort of really exciting in terms of where the company's heading over the sort of the next 10 to 15 years. So if you're interested in finding out more about sort of what that looks like, I encourage you to add Mark Zuckerberg on Facebook. I think just from a marketing point of view, to bring it back to sort of my disciplines, I think it's if you can get tuned up on any sort of fundamentals around digital marketing as a whole, and I think there's plenty of free resources available, not only from a Facebook point of view, but for other companies like ourselves, and just free general courses to get skilled up on in that regard. That's going to go you a long way to getting roles as a company like ours or any other roles. So I think with evolving technologies, there are more opportunities rather than sort of replacing roles.
I'm so excited, man. I think that, with some of the stuff you guys are doing in that kind of like wearables, the glasses, this kind of thing, I think it's going to change a lot because, integrated reality, and you're in marketing, right? Virtual reality, these virtual worlds, everyone's lost in a computer. People are buying like online houses and you have a whole separate life on the internet.
Yeah, look, I mean, a lot of what I do and what my team does is automation. We spend a lot of time trying to remove the work about work that our employees and our teams do, right? And so for me, I think AI and machine learning and all these really great buzzwords get a bit of a kind of bad rap. Because people are like, oh gosh, AI is going to take my job, or it's going to like automate me out of a job. And that's probably true. But at the end of the day, there's a great quote around like, one of the best engineers is a lazy engineer, because they spend all this time trying to automate certain tasks and busy work that they do every single day. You try to automate that away. Make computers do the hard work so that you are freed up to do more meaningful, more valuable work that adds and contributes to like a company, to your career, to yourself. Pick people over companies. Like you're going to spend 40 hours a week with your manager, with your team, right? And it doesn't matter the logo on the door. To your earlier point, if you hate that, then you're gonna hate your job and you're gonna hate everything else, right? The thing you should be asking yourself is largely, am I taking a job that computers are gonna take from me? And if so, maybe that's not the best place to contribute or provide value, both in your career or for your company. We need so many more diverse minds and people of color and different backgrounds and diversity to help shape AI, right? We need to remove the bias out of machine learning. All of these are huge emerging technologies that we haven't figured out yet. And so I figure a lot of the people that are on this call today are going to have a huge role in shaping the future of that and bringing those kinds of tools and that kind of access to people that don't have the same kind of voice, the same kind of platform, or how can we bring equity into these things? And so as far as I'm concerned, all of those things are made by people.
At the end of the day, you don't want to be taking a job that soon will be redundant. So be smart, try and think ahead, and also be in the tech industry. So understanding what these AI systems do and how they work is really important.
AI is today, right? Like, think about what's tomorrow, like what's after that? What's after that, right? Like AI is the kind of hot buzzword and the big concern today, right? But the more interconnected we all are, the more data and privacy and rights and civil liberties, all these things all are going to come smashing together, right?
I think Joseph touched a little bit on that one. It's a fact of being able to understand a little bit of broader technology, because things get very connected, right? So, and that's what 5G and 4G are doing for you. But basically, what we are doing with the digital economy is that every process would be real time. And that's what the network infrastructure enables us. So if we think about what 4G did, you put basically in a device that is connected 24/7 everywhere you are, a device that is a standard. So then applications that you develop once can be used everywhere in the world because it comes from the same either the Apple Store or the Play Store. So then companies like Facebook, for example, they get an app, they get the reach, and the ecosystem, the operators provide the connectivity, Facebook provides the content. And it really was the revolution of an Apple produced a device, and there is an ecosystem there that was created 10 years ago with the social media, iPhone, and 4G coming at the same time.
I know,
which,
so
that ecosystem got the digitalization of the consumer-focused economy. So what I could see happening is that with 5G, it's going to move more into the enterprise. Government and enterprise applications. When you think about the digitalization, and Regan touched on that before, is we are already there on the, like the digital marketing. Everything that a consumer could do today, it's already digital, and COVID has accelerated and shown us that you could do it. You start to think about, you need to have your connectivity piece that would happen with 5G. You would need to have your software, your AI, whatever. It's just an end-to-end solution. So if you can get a little bit of knowledge on how the connectivity or networking piece work, how the machine learning piece work, how digital marketing works, you can really be part of putting all those pieces together. And like the barriers between, this is the telecommunication, the Vodafone's, Telstra's of the world, this is the Amazons of the world, this is the social media platforms of the world. You start to see that it's getting completely merged, and we are all into a continuous ecosystem. And I think you would get lots of jobs in the future about people with technical and social skills that can put an overall solution together and put it into the market.
RPA sort of developers and engineers, we're getting a lot more requirements for that, robotic process automation people. I think that there's a few hot areas, if you each would agree, I don't know. Robotics, obviously, both on the hardware, firmware, sort of software side of things, even mechanical. IoT, so this could be civil engineers that understand electrical, that understand software, that understand firmware, sort of smart sensors, all of these kinds of things. That then connects into 5G networks, and that kind of thing. And maybe obviously cloud falls into, I think, that category. And of course, software, the actual development of the software products, and straight into the devices, the hardware, whether it's wearables, whatever it might be. All of these things are going to be connected. We're going to see a huge uprise in virtual reality now that 5G becomes, we're going to have less latency. So those headsets are going to cause us less problems. A lot of you have been from home, maybe wearing some of the headsets. Some of the Oculus is really much more lightweight, much more usable over longer periods of time. So we will be immersed. We will have things like BCIs. So chips that will connect into our bodies and understand what is our health status looking like to help improve our lives using AI. So think about all these different field students. I know they sound kind of wacky, but they are really right here.
I think we've touched on two of the really big trends in technology. I think blockchain and consensus algorithms, I think we're starting to see some real world application of those things around power generation, distribution, microfinance, those types of things. That's really exciting and interesting. It's a completely new field. And then obviously machine learning and AI. Again, it is far more prevalent than people think it is, and it's in the technology you use every day. But I think the area that spans all these things, that keeps me up at night literally, is cybersecurity. But the more sophisticated technology becomes and the more intrinsic it becomes in our life, the more easy it is to be seen as a vector for attack. And cybersecurity is getting more important from an investment perspective in technology firms, or actually every firm. But it's also becoming increasingly sophisticated. And there's this constant battle between cybersecurity and gaps undermining the trust we have in technology. And then, technology comes to companies trying to build up the trust that we have. I think that's a really interesting dynamic that's going to play out in the next few years. And I think things like blockchain, I think things like machine learning have a role to play in cybersecurity.
There's no hands-on, so there's nobody there doing a lot of the processes for certain things, right? So you might have a huge warehouse and nobody's there. They call them dark factories in China, for those who don't know. I'm sure they're all around the world. China's a leading player in a lot of modern tech. But what we are seeing is, like, what if an attack happens there? And we spoke about the plumbing. What if the water is contaminated and the sensors tell you it's not, but it is? What if you're in a drone in your little jetpack thing and someone hacks you and you don't have control of where you're going? Because as much as we work to protect things, you do have those that are the players that are against you, and they work just the way that a penetration tester would work. Their job is to try and hack systems and do the wrong thing, and you can see in their day schedule. So the hacks are attacking all day, but you can sort of tell where they come from by the lunch breaks, because they're doing it as a full-time job. If you could turn back time, give yourself a little piece of advice, or to just someone new in the industry, but if you could tell yourself some advice now today, your younger self.
Just patience. I think it was touched on earlier on in the questions around sort of the themes on what you get advice, but patience, that things will take time, and really embrace the no's. I think probably everyone on this call today has had a lot of declines with roles that you wanted, and really take those as learning opportunities to figure out how can I grow from this experience, and don't get too disheartened, because it's not always going to be 100% success rate. So really embrace those no's and look forward for your next roles. And I think always have a perspective as well. So when you land a role, or you're interviewing, make sure you have your own POV on things, because that's what people are looking for, right? For candidates to have a say.
Everything that you do matters, and it will all contribute into the next step. And what you do today, the skills that I was getting then doing this, that, and a third, I will use them later, even if I don't know it yet. You stay humble and just be willing to learn and willing to listen. I still get auto-rejected when I apply for jobs today. So it's not just anyone else on this call. Like, I still get the auto-decline, even at companies that I'm beyond qualified for something. So that doesn't ever go away. It's nice and humbling. But to stay humble and to just remember that everything that I'm doing will all make sense in the long run. And it will all be something that matters for the next thing, just like compounded interest, right? It doesn't have to make sense today, but it will come in handy later.
Yeah, I spend some time thinking what you like and what you are naturally good at. There are lots of things that you could learn, but something that you really are passionate and you are talented for, it's going to go a long way. So, happiness is the most important thing. When you look at a job, it's not the job title, it's not about the money, it's not about the location. It's really about, are you going to be happy there or not? And if you spend some time thinking about what is visualizing, what you never know what job is going to be the one that you land, but you can start to visualize paths that you could take that would make you happy. Spend some time at the beginning, because it's very interesting. When you know what you want or what would be good for you, it's very easy to take it when it passes in front of you. Yeah, I'm sorry, Jessica. I really gotta jump on another thing. Thank you very much, guys. Catch you later, and good luck to everybody. Very nice
wrap
to
it
meet
up.
you guys.
So, Yago, it's been a pleasure. Everyone, connect in with Yago on LinkedIn.
I will love
Philip,
it.
thank you so
guys.
much.
Ciao.
I'm just going to basically agree with Regan. His advice is bang on. Failing is learning, right? A career is a roller coaster. Sometimes you go up, sometimes you go down. So being, introspective and being cognizant of, what you're learning, what you're achieving in this scenario, I think that's really important. Because as Joseph says, everything matters, right? Everything builds experience, builds battle scars, and that helps you grow.
So on that note, everyone, you heard it here. Make sure that you never give up. You're going to get tons of no's in interviews. Who knows where you will end up after being at a chicken shop? And I think that, we're going to all have brain chicks, in our heads. No, we are absolutely so honored to have you each as speakers. And I really encourage all the students to get connected, try and see if you can do a coffee catch up, drop in your resume, check out the programs that each of those who are on our panel today have available. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
See you guys.
Thank you.